Hello, everybody, and welcome to KickSaga. This is the show where I interview first-time board game and tabletop game creators who are taking their game idea to Kickstarter to try to get it funded. And in the show, we interview them both right before they're about to go on Kickstarter, and then again right after their Kickstarter campaign is over, to kind of see both sides of the coin, what they did to prepare, and then find out, what they did, how they did afterwards, and if what they did mattered, and kind of get the insights fresh off of running the Kickstarter. And I'm super excited to have our first part two today. And we have Evan with Zoo King, who I'm happy to say funded the game, successfully funded, and definitely looks like it overfunded by quite a bit. So that it looks like it was quite a success story. And Evan and I were just talking right before this, where I was saying, like, I part of me, is interested to hear about projects when they don't fund, to see, what might have gone wrong, and maybe help other people in the future, and then see how they're going to kind of overcome that. But at the end of the day, I want everybody who I interview to have a successful Kickstarter, and I'm as excited for them as well, not as excited as they are, but I am excited when they do fund, and I am always looking for good news. So I'm happy to have Evan back on the show with the good news that his project funded. Hey, Evan, how's it going?
Good. Thanks for having me back, and I'm glad that we're meeting with the first one being funded.
Yes, that is good news. So let's just kick things off with just how you feeling after a whirlwind campaign and having successfully funded.
It feels good to take a break for once, the past little bit over a year and a half has just been crazy. So, to finally kind of have the campaign close and to be able to take a few days to kind of catch your breath a little bit is really refreshing and much needed, because it's been busy. It's been, I've been doing it pretty much by myself. My wife has been helping, and obviously I've recruited a lot of help from people playtesting and, partners to help promote it and stuff. But
Yeah,
man, it's a lot of work.
yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
So yeah, I bet it's a relief, and sorry if I'm like, hey, let's talk about it one more time
No,
after it's all
yeah,
said and done. But after this, you'll be able to take a little bit of a break. But then,
that's
of
right.
course, you got to fulfill
Yeah,
all the pledges, and keep the train running that way.
exactly.
So let's talk about it. Let's talk about the numbers, how things ended up going. What was the final tally as far as how many backers you had, the amount that you funded, and kind of what the percentage ended up being?
Yeah, and I've got, if I'm looking down, it's because I got my Kickstarter dashboard on my phone here. So, Zoo King, a strategic zoo building card game, launched October 5th, 2021, deadline for November. So I did the standard 30-day. My goal was 5,000 because I thought I'd be able to pull in, you know, 150 backers.
Right.
And we ended up going 15,600 and 418 backers.
Nice.
So yeah, that was definitely um, appreciated. Thank you to everyone who supported and backed. Makes it easier to fund a project when you get a little bit more than you expected. So
Yeah, absolutely. So, would you have, because sometimes Kickstarters put out a funding goal, and then they meet the funding goal barely, and then they end up canceling for whatever reason. Would you have still been able to fulfill if you just got exactly what the goal was?
yeah, so to be honest, I set the goal right. I'm a first time creator. I really didn't know what to expect. I didn't know if my efforts would pay off. I didn't know what Kickstarter would bring in organically. So the goal was not enough to cover the whole project,
Right.
but it was enough for me to feel comfortable investing the rest and going ahead with the project, right?
Gotcha.
So if I hit the 5,000, then it was a go. And if I didn't hit the 5,000, then I probably would have maybe gone back to the drawing board for 6 more months and launched it again. So
Right. So that goal was basically like, okay, I feel like this has enough interest to be a thing,
yeah,
and you might have to invest a little bit yourself to get it to the finish line. But
yeah,
um, that makes sense, and I think that's totally reasonable.
Yeah, and I had already invested more than that already in just between, the marketing video, the
Yeah,
conferences I went to, the prototypes, the I did some Facebook ads. So yeah, like I said, it was nice to
right.
go over the goal to triple it and
Yeah,
see that you're not in the red, right after the Kickstarter still. So
right. Do you think you're going to end up making any kind of profit from this?
um so I will when I sell the rest of my
Right.
right. So if
Print
I
run.
I'm looking at probably a 1,500 copy print run, and I've got almost 500 sold. Um, so yeah, I think the rest will be profit after that. So that's
Right.
it's good. And I've the game has been well received, but it's not not too many people know about it yet. So there's a chance to still get it. I've got some retailers that have picked it up. I'm hoping to get some more. I'll do
Nice.
some farmers markets and my own promotional stuff next year. Keep it
Very
going.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the beauty is that now you don't have a deadline now. You just have, until you run out of copies
Right. Yep.
to sell. So
It's
just
just
keep
fun
pushing
after
it and
that.
right. Nice. That's
Yeah.
good. That's good that you see it that way. So how about the stretch goals? How did those do? Did those end up did you end up getting all of those reached? Did you end up throwing in some extra ones? What was the process there?
So yeah, and with the stretch goals, I decided to make them more like I'm trying to remember. I think I made them more like social goals at first.
Okay.
Um, so we had, and now I don't even remember what the goal was for the first stretch goal. I could probably pull it up here. The first goal though was to do like a UV spot print effect on the box and to
Okay.
do like linen finish. And I set those pretty low because I really wanted to do those, and I just thought, if I can get a decent showing, then I'll go ahead and do those.
Nice.
It's not going to cost too much extra. So those ones, as I'm scrolling down to my stretch goals, those ones were like get 25 post shares, get 150 new follows, and I did, it worked in bringing me the followers because once that stretch goal was achieved, people stopped following me. The
Interesting.
new
Yeah.
backers, so the new backers would come on and probably say, "Oh, I don't need to follow it," but so it
Yeah.
worked. I got some new followers for my pages. Um,
So
and
I think maybe a lesson there is set the initial goal, and then maybe once that reached, set another goal,
right,
and maybe have those pre-planned. That way, you're not trying to think of something off the top of your head,
right,
and maybe pushing your budget too high or something. But
exactly.
maybe having some in your back pocket that you can then put out there. And I think it's probably a good idea to have some kind of stretch goals like kept to yourself and
Mhm.
wait until the initial ones get met, and then you could throw the new ones out there, because you throw too many out there and then people get overwhelmed, or you might not make them all, and so that could be a good idea to keep the momentum going, is to
Yeah,
continue to put out those stretch goals.
yeah,
But it
it's a
sounded
good.
like it worked for you.
Well, yeah, I mean, and to your point, like you said, I didn't have anything planned after that because I didn't think, that I would do that much. So then we decided, look, let's add another one. What could it be? So we're doing like a little, just like a souvenir, like cardboard, like first player token that all the backers will get. And we set
Yeah.
that at 300 backers. So we're like, okay, that would probably be our upper limit. And then we hit that with about, a week and a half left, I think. And
Yeah.
then we decided to say, we have a tier that has a little mini expansion pack. So we said, we'll just make the expansion pack bigger if we can hit 375 backers. So we did that.
Nice.
And, yeah.
Cool. That's good. So I've never run a Kickstarter, and I'm not too familiar with how the platform works. So
Yeah.
can you like see where backers came from or how they found you in Kickstarter?
So yeah, I had and I'd even set up like the Google Analytics thing
Hmm.
beforehand, but I didn't have too much time to do a lot of the things that I wanted to do. So some things
Right.
just didn't get done as far as me wanting to track my backers or retarget ads or something. I just didn't have the bandwidth to do that. But
Yeah.
the dashboard was very helpful to me. It tells you it has a list of refers. So yeah, it tells you if someone came from
Nice.
Facebook or if someone came from a location that they couldn't tell. But I mean, you can see like my link tree. You can set up custom links within Kickstarter. So I started to do that towards the end.
Hmm.
So I would like run a Facebook ad for a week, and I would use the custom link from Kickstarter, so you could track it that way. So yeah,
Nice.
it's interesting to look at.
What do you see through that contributed kind of the most, ended up contributing the most backers?
So the top one is direct traffic, no referrer information, and I
Hmm.
think that is a lot of. I think a lot of that is my email list. Um, that
Right.
was 29% of the pledge. Facebook. So I think those are probably just like links that I shared or that my family shared. Uh,
Right.
um, 13%. And then Kickstarter had the next five top referrers. So that was their search,
Oh,
people that had watched,
interesting.
that had clicked email, watched, project launched, advanced discovery, last chance to back reminder. That one got 6%. And the
Wow.
people that saved, that was 4% of the pledges. So yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, I mean, there's a couple pages of stuff here, so it's fun to look at.
Yeah, yeah, that is interesting, and that'll maybe help, the next time you run a Kickstarter, or for folks listening, to kind of get some insights into, there is some built-in audience there with Kickstarter, and so that helps, especially first time creators, if you're deciding, should I launch on Kickstarter, or should I, go to GameFound, or should I just do it on my own with a pre-order or something like that. There is definitely a built-in audience that's going to discover you and find you through Kickstarter, and it looks like that was the case here as well.
Yeah, for sure. I think I had kind of an expectation that that would happen, and I'm happy to say that Kickstarter did deliver for me with those people.
Nice.
So yeah, I
So
mean,
what do you
and it's like the standard formula: email list, your Facebook personal network, and then people that have saved your project on Kickstarter and browse Kickstarter. That's kind of the target. And I think for me, I probably just converted a little bit more on my email list and on my page followers than I had anticipated. So that was
hmm,
good.
yeah, that's great. And you had just a couple hundred on your email list, right?
Yeah, I just had like 200.
Yeah.
And
I,
then,
I'm a big fan where email lists are concerned with quality over quantity, right?
yeah,
So it's better to have a couple hundred people who are super interested in your game than thousands of people who just happen to click on a Facebook ad button, or that got some other way, who end up not backing anyways. So it's good to
yeah,
hear that even with just that concentrated of a list, that a lot of those folks came out and backed the game.
yeah. I think, yeah, a lot of those people, I mean, out of the 200, probably at least 100 of those were people that had actually played the game before. So,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, so
Nice.
that's helpful.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So what do you think was, I guess, of all of those, what do you think was the biggest activity that you did prior to launch that kind of contributed to the success of the game? You talked about testing with people and having them sign up for your mailing list. You're talking about having your friends and family share links and that kind of thing. What do you think the biggest push to that success was?
Um, the biggest thing I think was the play testing.
Mm,
Um, I mean, pretty much anyone in my network that I could get, and last year was kind of more difficult with the COVID situation.
right.
Fortunately, right, last I guess 2 summers ago now, things kind of settled down, even though there wasn't even like any vaccine or anything. We
Right.
got lucky. The summer was kind of
There's a little dip.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I did a lot of playtesting in person during the summer.
Where did you go to do playtesting?
So in my neighborhood, I've got probably like 30 families that I know that play like board games on like a
Oh,
regular
wow.
basis.
Nice.
So like we would meet, they'd come over here, I'd go over there, we'd like meet at the park. There's like a park in our neighborhood, we go meet out there.
Sweet.
So yeah, I mean, just get involved with your neighborhood, your community, your church, your whatever social groups you have. Look for gamers. Don't just try to like blast yourself or promote your game, but try to find people
Right.
that might be actually interested and try to give them a good experience. Um, I did. I might have mentioned this last time. I don't remember, but I did run some Facebook ads, a couple $100 worth, about a month before I launched, and that was probably for a week span.
Hmm.
and I directed those. I found better conversion when I sent people to my Kickstarter versus like my email list.
Right.
Um, if you're targeting people that are interested and on Kickstarter, when they click on your ad, they're probably already logged into Kickstarter, so they just have to click one more button, and then Kickstarter is going to remind them a few times during that span.
That makes
Um,
sense.
so
Yep.
I found that was helpful because I picked up probably 100 followers that way.
Nice.
Um, and then honestly, I in the week before I saw some Kickstarter preview videos, some that I had solicited, some that I did not solicit. But when
Cool.
those started picking up my game, saying, this is what's coming, that's when I started to see some more traffic too. Like a couple hundred people the week before started following. So
Yeah, I saw you got you got mentioned in an article on Board Game Geek.
yeah, that was
Uh,
cool.
that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was neat
Um,
because, like, I got on the front page of Board Game Geek, and that's like the biggest network in the world. And then I'm a big fan of Tom Vassell and the Dice Tower,
yeah,
and it was funny. They talked about my game in the video, but they talked more about the Dippin' Dots in the article than the game. But I mean, I
right.
was cool because they were like, "It looks like a good project," and they didn't say anything bad about it. So
Well, the cool thing about that is because you had like a mention previously, they had something to like talk about. So
right,
they were able to talk about your game a little bit more and kind of call back on that article. And so that's a good example of, trying to get yourself in lots of multiple places and then they kind of synergize off of each other. Because
yeah,
if they hadn't had seen that before, they number one, they might not have mentioned your game at all on their show. And number two, they were able to kind of have something to riff on. So I think that worked out well
no,
for
yeah,
you.
you're exactly right.
So, was there anything that you feel like you spent time on beforehand that didn't contribute didn't contribute anything meaningful, or maybe didn't have the impact that you thought it would?
Yeah, so I was trying to think of ways that I could at least get my name out there. And who knows, maybe like to your point, maybe this at some point will synergize down the road, because they say it takes what 7 times for someone to see something before they purchase it, or who knows.
Yep.
But I went to different events locally in the past 6 months. Maybe events dealing with like animals. So maybe there's like an animal show or like a zoo type thing. Or even I did this at some zoos that I went to, but I put postcards on cars. At game conventions too, I put postcards and I like plastered other things with postcards. And I even mailed postcards to probably 300, 400 different local game shops
Oh
um,
wow.
across the country. Yeah, I
Hmm.
got a list. And in total for all those, I mean, I probably spent $500 on all the postcards and the mailing, but I didn't see much of a increase after those being sent out, and the retailers didn't show up as much.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, that's interesting. That's very, kind of guerrilla marketing
yeah,
and boots on the ground kind of thing. And
yeah,
and it's tough because you games are a niche, and then zoo animal lovers are a niche, and there's not much crossover there. So it
right,
would be hard to find that crossover. And no matter what, the best bet is to reach out to gamers, and the best way to do that is online.
yeah,
And it's hard to reach the critical mass of those folks without doing stuff online.
yeah, for
And
sure.
that's the beauty of it, though, right? Is we have access to everyone around the world.
Yep.
So how about location demographics? Are you able to see like where in the world people are coming from? Did you have many international backers?
Yes. I didn't get too many international, and I kind of that was kind of intentional because I didn't want to deal with the whole, um, get too deep into the whole shipping and taxing thing.
Right.
Um, so I basically said I'll sell it to you internationally, but you're gonna have to pay the full like cost that's gonna ship me, and I'll handle the rest of like whatever VAT or anything. But
Right.
I'll pay on my end from USPS, but at your end, I don't know what your deal is. So, I don't know. Some countries people still have to pay when they pick up a USPS package, but I pretty much made it clear, and some people got turned off. They're like, "Oh, it's going to cost as much to ship as the
Yep.
game." Um, yeah, let's see. Trying to find where I find my locations. Um, Well, here, I mean, so here's just another interesting thing: 25% conversion rate of my project followers. So I had by the end, I had
Okay,
676 people that had clicked to follow my project. 171 of those converted. Um, oh, I
not
think,
bad.
yeah.
They say like what it's about 10% is what you should expect of followers to convert.
Yeah, so
So that's
that's
really
why
good.
I kind of had my expectations lower on that front.
Right.
Um,
And I think it helps that the game is affordable, and simple and kind of more family weight. I think that appeals to a broader audience, so
right,
it might help convert. It's a theme that's not very controversial or niche down or anything. It's
right.
like everybody loves animals, right? Everybody loves going to the zoo, so
Yeah, I thought that would be
that
a
definitely
safe
helps.
theme for my first project,
Right,
So yeah, I mean, I had
absolutely.
9 from the UK, 12 from Canada, 2 Australia, 2 New Zealand, 2 Germany, 2 Austria, Spain, Portugal, Hungary, Netherlands, Denmark, but 338 from the US.
Nice.
And
Yep.
within the US, I think there's a space you can see what cities. And I was trying to think if it was just that I knew more people in these cities than in other places. Obviously, like my local Utah area is at the top. Um,
That's
but
good.
Chicago, I don't really know people in Chicago, but I got 8 backers from Chicago.
Nice.
Um, Detroit too. I don't know many people in Detroit, but I got 5 backers there. But yeah,
That's cool.
so
So what about the whole Kickstarter process kind of two-part question. What part of it was the hardest and what part of it surprised you the most?
um, I really enjoy the Kickstarter platform. I think, and I didn't use a pledge manager either.
Mm,
Maybe I could be making some pre-order sales right now, but I just don't have, like I said, I don't have the time or bandwidth to kind of keep running a campaign. So, I mean, I someone from Indiegogo reached out to me, and I guess they have like an in-demand thing where you kind of they copy your number raised and number of backers onto their platform, and you can keep it running for six. So
oh,
I just did that. I only have
that's
one
cool.
person that pre-ordered it through that, but
Huh.
um, I mean, I used the Kickstarter surveys; those worked great. I like the Kickstarter platform. As far as what was difficult, maybe just for me, just the difficult part was um, like I was just busy. So I had to find time to keep my social media posts, make social media posts. I did like a few giveaways or contests. So just putting in the time to stay on top of everything was busy. Update the page.
Was it about what you expected or was it even busier than you thought it would be?
Well, that's about what I expected.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good.
So I
Uh
mean, it gets addicting because you waste a
uh
lot of your time just like refreshing your page and it's like, did I get a new backer? So it's,
I bet. Especially
before,
like the first day, right? Like you're
oh,
just
first
constantly
day
checking.
was, yeah. And another cool thing was I don't know if you know what Kick Track is. There's like a Kick Track hot list.
Yeah.
But I got up to number 8. I think it was like
Oh,
the end of the first day or something. And I was like, wow, this is super cool. Of course,
nice.
after the second day, I fell off the rankings,
Right.
but yeah, it was cool.
Cool. You mentioned that you use Kickstarter as a pledge manager, and it offers a basic pledge manager, and I think honestly that's good for a lot of folks, especially first time folks who run it, and doesn't have all the bells and whistles that the other one does. But it looks like I mean it makes it available for pre-order. Like I'm on your page now, I could pre-order your game now,
Yeah.
even though the campaign is over. So, are you able to do like Oh, that takes you to
So that takes
Indiegogo.
you to
Okay.
Indiegogo. Yeah.
Ah, interesting.
That's
Okay.
just a custom link. So
Nice. And are you able to offer like upsells and stuff, add-ons through Kickstarter's Pledge Manager?
yeah. So I had a few different tiers. I had one that was just the game, one with the game and the expansion, and then I had like 2 copies of both. And then I had some other ones that those went all on the first day, and I wasn't sure I was going to sell those out at all, which
Wow.
was kind of like a custom illustration as one of the people on the cards. And then T-shirts we had as add-ons. So we had 2 different styles. Those those didn't really sell as much. I think we got maybe like 15 or 20 shirts sold. So they're
Not
really
bad.
nice shirts too. if everyone wore them, then they'd all buy them. But
Right.
it was kind
That's
of just to have something cool. We're not really making much money off of it because in the quantity we're printing at and the quality, it's kind of just a wash. So
sure. That's something you could bring to conventions and
yeah,
other stuff. So
you'll see how
it'll
that
be
goes.
able to continue to sell with the game over time. Cool. So let's see. How are you fulfilling the game? Are you using a fulfillment partner? Are you just shipping out of your house? How's that working?
Yeah, we're just gonna ship out of our house. We're gonna do it the old first time true Kickstarter way.
Nice.
So yeah, just through USPS, and we'll make sure to take a picture of the, you know, 300, 400 packages.
Right. Especially if it's a smaller box like that, it's
Right.
definitely more doable
Yeah.
than a bigger box.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely looked into it beforehand, and with my expected numbers, it didn't make much sense. And still, even with these numbers, to pay a couple bucks on top of the shipping to fulfill it is, it's not a right. It's not a $50 game where $2 is, only,
I'll have to talk to you in a year or so after
yeah,
you've fulfilled and see if you still feel the same way.
yeah.
You're like, oh man, I wish I would have it took so long and was so
There's
much work.
definitely people that come with that takeaway, right? It's like I would have
Yeah,
just paid someone, but yeah, didn't want to eat too much at my little margins.
I hear you. So what's next for Zoo King and your company? Do you have other games in the works? Are you just going to focus on this for a while? What's next?
So I had a few that are like pen and paper, and maybe I had cut out a few cards for, but I haven't had time to kind of really create anything else right now. Besides a few expansions that I've been playtesting for Zoo King.
Nice.
Um, So yeah, I mean the Kickstarter before it launched, I was like, this was so much work. I don't think I would do this again. But then you get it going, and then when you succeed, it's kind of addicting. You're like, okay, I could see myself, launching another game in a couple years. So
Yeah.
we'll probably launch an expansion for Zoo King within the next year or two, and then probably in that same time, I'll start just working on a new thing, and maybe we'll launch another different game in 3 years or something. So
Cool. Yep. Just slow and steady, right?
yeah.
There's no rush, because of course this is a part time thing. It sounds like you're not looking to make this a full time job or anything. You just kind of want to do it for fun on the side.
Right. Yeah. If
That's
it ever became a full time job, it would be after I slowly and steadily built it up for 10 years, and then it was like, okay, I guess it's kind of bringing in enough for us to do something. But
very cool.
yeah,
All right. Well, congrats again. If folks wanted to, either buy the game or follow along, to get news of the expansion and all of that, where's the best place that they can go to do that?
yeah. You can join our email list at saratogatoy.com, and we'll be sure to post when that is available. Our social media preference has become Instagram, so at Zoo King Game on Instagram or Saratoga Toy and Game on Instagram. But yeah, feel free to if you see me in a forum or somewhere, or you need my email, play at saratogatoy.com. Feel free to shoot me any questions you have when you're launching your own projects or about the game or whatever. So
Awesome.
I'm open to just helping whoever I can. So
It's very generous of you. Thank
yeah,
you. Cool. Well, again, congrats, and I look
thank you.
forward to following you in your journeys in the future. Let's keep in touch. If you need a playtester for any of the expansions, happy to help you out with that.
Awesome.
And we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks. I appreciate your support and for hosting KickSaga.
And guys who are watching this, I s- I suck at promoting myself, so I'm going to try to do that really quick here. So if you guys want to follow the stories of other first time game producers while they take their games to Kickstarter, be sure to subscribe and click the bell icon to get notified when we put out future episodes. We're going to be releasing these maybe once a week or once every other week. And that way you can be sure to catch the first part of the episodes and the second part of the episodes, which will come out later. I try to do these in as much real time as I can. so you're able to get up-to-minute information about how Kickstarter works and how the board game community and crowdfunding community is at that moment. So if you want to keep up with the latest information and learn what the folks who are on the show have learned from their journeys, definitely be sure to subscribe. And then if you have any follow-up questions that I forgot to ask, be sure to throw those in the YouTube comments, and I'll be sure to ping the guest about those questions to get an answer for you. Otherwise, we'll see you next time on KickSaga.